Today we're going to look at the clear and present challenges ahead for the current Thai PM Prayut Chan-o-cha. His hands on the levers, controlling the hearts and minds of Thais and Southeast Asia's second largest economy, is in peril. The next general election in Thailand has to be called before March next year. It's the prerogative of the sitting PM to call the date, and as in other parliaments around the world, is an advantage to call the election at the most strategically advantageous time and start the process of the next election campaign. But the question of whether the 2014 coup leader will even get that opportunity has become the latest talk around the parliamentary water cooler. To put it bluntly, some of his coalition partners are revolting. There's now growing dissension in the ranks, such that two upcoming parliamentary events will now be focusing on the PM and votes of confidence on the floor. That vote may be tested twice in the next 2 months. And MPs are furiously counting votes and canvassing support as we speak. After the failed internal party coup last year, that was when a group of party MPs plotted to vote against their own PM and vote with the opposition. PM Prayut promptly evicted Tamanat Prompau from the cabinet. In the weeks after, another 20 MPs were banished from Palang Pracharat party and have since joined other parties or formed new ones. Now, we should recall that this Tamanat Prompau character, the MP for Palau, has a somewhat checkered history. Firstly, he was a member of the opposition Thai party at one stage, so he's already shown that he can jump ship. Now, secondly, he spent 4 years in a Sydney prison after being convicted for heroin trafficking, a conviction he's strenuously denied. So how is all this going to unfold? Now that the 3.2 trillion baht budget has been presented to Parliament, it needs to be passed. The supply budget is usually passed as a bipartisan convention, where after being debated, usually makes its way through Parliament with a vote along party lines. But this time, with a rump of malcontents, could the polite parliamentary convention of passing supply be weaponised against the sitting PM? Then there's the looming no confidence vote, which will be put forward to Parliament apparently in the August session. This is likely to be a more likely trigger for the renegade MPs to vote with the opposition in a no confidence vote. There's also an upcoming debate about the current PM's constitutional 8-year limit, which will be hotly debated when that is brought up in Parliament. But that's going to depend on how the Constitutional Court measures when Prayut PM actually started being Thailand's Prime Minister. In all three cases, there may be concessions or deals struck to fend off the expected challenges. Either way, it's going to be a tricky few months for the incumbent PM, and he'll have to use all his political and deal-making skills if he's going to see through to the rest of this year and be the person who gets the right to call the next general election. Tim Newton for the Thaiger.